Hello and welcome to the Sailing My Magic channel. My name is Duke and I'm solo sailing Magic, my 2015 Lagoon Catamaran, around the world. As I was sailing into Vavavu, I noticed that there were a lot of whales, humpback whales in the bay as I was coming in. So I decided that I needed to do a little exploring by diving with the humpback whales, and that's what this episode is all about. Once I decided that I was going to go diving with the whales, then I had to pick out a group or boat to take me out there, partly because they know the area better, and partly because if I take my boat out there, it could get away from me if I'm in the water. So I ended up choosing among a few of them, and I ended up picking beluga diving. Not to say that they're any better or anything than any other group, just seemed to fit my style better. So we went out there, I liked their boats, and here's a baby humpback whale swimming around. It's having a little fun in the water, and watching it for a little while. It starts diving away. Please click on like and subscribe. It really helps, and it's free. Saw other whales breaching out in the water. You never know why they're doing it or when they're going to do it. But the baby whale went down and found mama. Then he was coming back up again. This little juvenile whale was having a lot of fun. Fortunately, they stay near the surface when they have a juvenile. The juvenile can't hold their breath quite as long, so that was good. But you get to see the humpback whales on the surface too. They come up and breathe. The juvenile, the mom is about 3 times bigger than the juvenile, and the mom is real big. But there's also male escorts, and they're twice as big as the mom. So some of these whales are really huge. I noticed those little barnacles and stuff on the mom there. Barnacles are sharp. No getting around it. The whales get them on there. The thing is, the mom and the juvenile end up cuddling a bit, and that produces cuts or scratches on the juvenile, as well as the barnacles on the juvenile. Not as many of them, but they put scratches on the mom too. I think for an animal this size, it's not that big a deal to have those scratches, but it's still something sharp. I mean, I assume that they feel it, even though they have very thick skin and a layer of blubber in there to insulate them. The mom, for the most part, was going along nice and slowly and easily. I was really afraid that get too close to the juvenile, the mom would chase the juvenile away from me. The juvenile was practically doing acrobatics in the water. He's going up and down and turning sideways and swirling and waving his fins and everything. He's just having a ton of fun. So I ended up with a 10-ton playmate. A humpback whale, when they're first born, is about 1.5 tons, which is pretty huge in and of itself, but whale milk is really rich and they grow really fast. A mature mother might be 15 to 30 tons, and I think the escorts are even bigger. There's me getting out of the water. Basically, you got to get in and out a few times just to warm up in between. But be careful and not scare the whales away by making too much splashing, getting in and out. As I was saying, this particular mother seemed extremely calm. We were debating on whether it was a experienced mother or a mother that had so many calves in the past that they were just kind of saying, oh, whatever. This little juvenile was so energetic and was actually trying to play with us and getting close to us. I mean, swimming right up, that I was thinking more along the lines of the mother was exhausted and say, well, as long as you don't get in trouble, just go play. And she was hanging there, not too deep, not too far away. She could keep an eye on things, but the interaction was primarily with the juvenile. I mean, he was swimming upside down. He was corkscrewing. He was doing all sorts of things, and Mom was just sitting there. The juveniles breach more often. I think they just have more energy, and it takes less energy to shoot the little body up out of the water than it does the big body. But Mom was still there, and she would come up for a breath of air too, and you get an idea how big she is when she comes alongside. The juvenile was really cute, waving his flippers around like they're arms, and sometimes the two would come up together, and sometimes they would even cuddle together. I think I've got some shots of that still. Now when the juvenile would get too close, they'd occasionally wave a tail, and the pressure wave from the water would just blow you backwards. They would slap at the water a little bit and breach that's jumping up in the air. But overall, the juvenile wasn't trying to hurt us. The mom wasn't trying to hurt us. They weren't trying to go fast and escape from us. They weren't really doing anything other than relaxing and having a good day. See how big they are, and you can see some of the barnacles on there. It's kind of interesting because the whales like to touch each other. The juvenile likes to be close to his mom, and they rub up against each other. That unfortunately gives the barnacles an opportunity to scratch them. But as I said, for something that big and that thick a skin, I don't think it's a real big deal, other than it leaves a white mark on there. And the funny thing is about the adult humpback whales, they don't have to swim a whole lot to dive. They can just hold their breath and point down, and they'll go down. They can float at the surface when they want to. Look at the juvenile rolling around like that. Now, that's not anything they're doing for survival or anything like that. He's just goofing around. There he goes again. I mean, how many whales would swim upside down? I know when sharks swim upside down, they get paralyzed. So the fact that this juvenile whale was doing it just for the fun of it seems really special. Sometimes they dive down to the bottom. Even though it's clear water, if it's too far away, then it starts getting fuzzy to look at with the camera. I'm shooting this with a GoPro with an underwater housing. The thing about that, the GoPro has a real wide lens, so the whales are actually much closer to me than it appears in the video. And when you see me being right next to the whales, yeah, they were right next to me. I mean, the juvenile came out to shake hands at one point. You never know what they're going to do. You've got to be a little bit careful with the juvenile, because he'll come right up to you, and if he hits you, it's still a lot of tons of weight hitting you, so you got to get out of the way. And I think some of the time he would come up and just aim towards me just to see me get out of the way. Put a little scare into me, and it works because they are big. Mom didn't really do much of anything in the way of coming towards me or trying to scare me, but the juvenile was being a little mischievous and rambunctious. It doesn't take too much when you're that big to be a little bit scary. But he didn't hurt me or really go after me. It's just he was doing his acrobatics, and then he aimed towards me. Last thing to it. screeching. Nobody really knows why they do that either. Some people think it's to get some of those barnacles off, but it doesn't really do that. So I doubt if that's why they do it. I think if maybe they're rubbing against each other, they get more barnacles off. Barnacles are kind of funny things, the way they attach. Getting them off the boat, you gotta scrape them pretty hard, and then they pop off. You can see him waving there a little bit with his fins. And the mama's down there a little bit too. She's just kind of relaxing. Like I said, I think her attitude was go and play as long as you don't get into any trouble. And he was doing just that. He was being a little Dennis the Menace. He go down sometimes too, and you'd see him occasionally on the floor. Ocean there, it's not real deep there, that he'd be tucked underneath her. Maybe he was nursing, maybe he was just resting, but they'd be touching each other. So again, please click on help and follow me. It does help me a lot to get seen. And now for the Sailor's Delight. It's time for a sundowner and on to the next adventure. Wouldn't you like an adventure?